Thank you all very much. I am very happy to be here with you today. And when a cancer survivor tells you she's happy to be here, she means it in every sense of the word. I'm very happy to be here. I'm going to share my story with you today. Thank you. And my story is not one that starts with cancer. And you look like a really sharp group, so you can probably figure out it didn't end with cancer. It started with something much happier than that. It starts with a divorce. I was 41 years old, and I found myself going through a divorce and feeling a little down on myself, feeling a little old. And I took my old self and my 2 old dogs, and I moved into an old townhome that I rented from one of my law partners at the time. And I set out to live what I perhaps too affectionately deemed my alphabet life. See, I decided I was good at a lot of things, but maybe relationships was not one of them. I decided all I needed in my life was books, coffee, and dogs. B, C, D. And I'd be fine. Then a college friend of mine pointed out that I wasn't going to get very far without wine. Probably some margaritas. Definitely a martini now and then, which is fine. That gave me my A for adult beverages. So I set out to live my alphabet life that was going to consist solely of adult beverages, books, coffee, and dogs. That was all I needed. That was in March of that particular year, and in April, one of my old dogs passed away, and by August, the second one passed away as well. I wasn't even 5 months into my alphabet life, and I was already missing a letter. So I did what any adult would do, and I ran away from home. I ran to Ireland. I joined my brother and a cousin who had pre-planned this trip to Ireland to meet up with some of our relatives for the first time. Because you can tell from looking at me that I'm Irish, right? Once I got there, I learned a lot about the Viking history in Ireland, so I now know that I am Irish by way of pillage and plunder. I am clearly Viking Irish. And Ireland may seem like a strange place, a strange country to choose to go to lick your wounds from a divorce, being that it's such a staunchly Catholic country. But, you know, those Irish are very funny people. And one cousin there in particular, who was, of course, named Seamus, was particularly funny and kept me laughing for the entire 2 weeks that we were there. So when I came back refreshed and relaxed and ready to start over again. I was still thinking maybe I'd leave off one letter in my alphabet life, but I was ready to move ahead. Really, what choice did I have? I was back in my law office for perhaps 3 days, settling back in, when my secretary buzzed me on the intercom and put through the call that was going to change my life. This was not the call telling me I had cancer. That was still a few years off. This was a call about a dog. The secretary buzzed through and said, "It's Destiny from the Pet Adoption Center. Do you want to take the call?" How can I not answer when Destiny calls? So I took the call, and Destiny said, "I know you just got back from vacation, but I wanted to let you know we have a beagle in. Not sure if you're ready for another dog, but I took him from the animal shelter just before he was set to be euthanized, and I took him with you in mind. Are you ready for another dog?" Am I ready for another dog? Big question. My love of beagles was very well known, as I'd rescued many of them from this pet adoption center, and I often sung the praises of beagles to anyone who would listen to me. To me, a beagle is a perfect dog. A beagle is a great dog for men. They're short and compact and kind of sporty looking, so men are okay with them. They're small enough and cute enough that women really love them too. And they have very even temperaments and are super playful, so they're great with kids as well. But maybe I found the limit for a beagle. Maybe a beagle wasn't a good dog for a single woman working a lot of long hours. Beagles are pack dogs. Beagles are very active dogs. They're very high energy dogs. Beagles are not dogs for a townhome. So maybe I'd found the limit for a beagle. Beagles maybe were a dog for my past life, not this new life that I was vaguely forming. But oh, how I love beagles. My heart may have hardened in a lot of places, but it was still a very soft spot for dogs. And after all, they'd rescued this dog with me in mind, so it would only be polite to go and look, right? Yeah, caution, meet wind. I went down to the pet adoption center just to take a look, and Destiny walked me to the kennel where the beagle was. But I heard this beagle's howl long before I got to the kennel. Beagle howls are distinctive in a blood-curdling sort of way, but to me they're a call to home. I approached the kennel. Destiny opened the gate, leashed the dog, and brought him out to me. And he immediately jumped up with both paws up on my knees, stretched his head up into my face, and immediately away. This dog had a very interesting howl. This was not a normal beagle howl. He sounded like he had been suckling whiskey from his mother's teeth and chain-smoking since birth. I tried to calm him and pet him and get him to sit, and I got to take a look at him. And it wasn't just his howl that was unusual. Where most beagles are the tricolor, black, brown, and white, this dog was mostly red. And where another dog might have been white or even the black, this dog was very mottled, kind of almost a gray mottled look to him. And then he had these black nails that looked to be painted that way by some goth teenager. And he had coal-lined eyes, very dark black around his eyes. It looked like coal eyeliner that any emo rock band member would have envied. I sat and I petted him, and he pushed into my legs, he pushed into my hands, he rubbed up against me. Mostly he was pushing into my heart. And he sat and looked up at me, and I noticed one more interesting characteristic about this dog. As you saw in the bra art, hounds usually have those floppy ears going forward. But this dog had one ear that would just flop back. And then I would push it back down, making him a proper droopy-eared beagle, and it would flop right back over again. And I'd push it back down, and it would flop back up. And this dog sat at my feet, looked up at me with those coal-lined caramel eyes, the ear flopped back over. He looked up adoringly. He was so cute, and he liked me. And we both knew in that moment he was going home with me. I just had to hope that he's cute and he's going home with me. Worked out better with dogs than it had with men. So to no one's surprise at all, I adopted the dog. And I named him Seamus after my cousin in Ireland. What with that red coat and that whiskey howl, he needed an Irish name. Seamus was very fitting. So no surprise, I adopted the dog and I took him home. Much bigger surprise, around that same time I also began dating again. Began dating a man 12 years younger than me. Yeah, come on, that deserves applause. Ladies! And I was 41, so I'll let you do that math. So I had about a good solid year where things were going great. After a little introductory period, the dog and the man got along, the dog and I got along great, and much to my surprise, the man and I got along great as well. So we had one really good year. And then one morning, my mobile groomer walked up to the front door. She brought me the dog, and she said, "I need to show you something." And we both bent down, and she turned the dog around, and she showed me this little bump on his rear end. Now, I pet my dog in a lot of places, but that's not one of them. So I hadn't noticed it. And I said, "Yeah, it looks like a bug bite." And she said, "Yeah, but it was there the last time I groomed him." That means that bump had been there for 6 to 8 weeks. So I immediately took Seamus into his veterinarian, and within a week the biopsy came back, and I learned that Seamus had cancer. Seamus was 2, maybe 3 years old at that point in time, and they told me that with surgery and chemotherapy, he would live maybe a year. I was really mad. I was really upset by this. I didn't have a lot of experience with cancer at that point in time. No one in my family had had it. I didn't have any close friends who had had it. And I really wasn't aware that dogs could get cancer. That was new to me as well. But I decided I was going to fight it. This dog was too young. I was too tired of starting my life over again. and I was too tired of going through things like this. He deserved to live, and I deserved to have him live. So we decided to fight it. The first thing I had to do was do a lot of research to find the appropriate place for his care. But I did. And a year later, Seamus was alive and well. And 2 years later, Seamus was alive and well. And 3 years later, Seamus was alive and well. And one morning, I was in the shower, and I was shaving, and my hand brushed up against the right side of my breast. And I felt something that I would call a thickening. It wasn't a lump, but it wasn't right. It wasn't normal. So I got out of the shower, and I went over to Chris, the boyfriend who's 10 years younger than me, and I asked for a second opinion. And God bless you men, you are always willing to give a second opinion on breasts. So Chris felt it, and he said, yeah, I feel it too, but it's not a lump. And I said, yeah, it's not a lump. And I had just had a clean mammogram 5 months before. So we decided we would just keep an eye on it. Chris was much more excited about that than I was. But sure enough, about a month later, it was definitely a lump. And I went to my doctor, had a mammogram, and on December 23rd at 3:30 in the afternoon, I received a call from my primary care physician telling me my mammogram was highly suspicious of malignancy. I needed to get in and see a surgeon right away. Don't even bother with a biopsy. Immediately have it removed. Good luck. Here's the number. Goodbye. Click. That was it.